Y'all, I'm close. I'm very, very close to overreacting. Because I think Tennessee looks a whole lot like a playoff team. And the reason why we're doing this segment is because I don't think it is an overreaction. The reason why? I think they have all the pieces. We'll talk about that right now, but first things first, make sure you're subscribed right here to the On3 YouTube channel. If you're watching live, you're a real one. We love you. You're a person of the program. We thank you for that. If you're listening on podcast, same exact deal. We appreciate you being dialed in, for doing the grit work to be able to listen to this show when you don't have time to make it live, so we thank you so much for that. Regardless of how you listen, just go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Whether it's on YouTube if you're watching there or if you're listening via podcast, just subscribe. It helps us keep track of who's a part of this college football sticker community. It helps us do more of the content you want to see. All right? So, as I was saying, Tennessee looks like a playoff team to me. Famous last words coming out of week 2, heading into week 3. I absolutely still need to see Nico in a true road spot. All right? There's no way around that. But with that being said, you see a lot of the pieces in this team that would equate to a college football playoff team. Like, I think once you have the proper ingredients, yes, it's fair to expect a certain result. If I got the pieces to make a tremendous burger, I got the best cheese, I got these great this great kind of like ground beef to make, I got all the spice. Like, if you have everything you need, you expect the results. From what I can tell so far at Tennessee, I think you have everything you need. And we'll start with Nico, man, because I think he epitomizes that. He has all of the tools and then some to be able to make this thing hum. And you've seen it so far. He can spray it around the yard. There's a reason why he was the number 1 recruit in America when he came out of high school. There's a reason for that. Not number 1 quarterback, number 1 player in America for us here at On3. Okay? Dude's got some arm talent. But also, I've said this ad nauseum now, so if you're just tuning in, welcome. He has the mobility to, I think, take you to the next version of what this Josh Heupel offense would like to be. Like, a lot of what Josh Heupel does formationally forces the defense to make choices. Do we want to play the run or do we want to play the pass? Because guess what? Your outside linebacker cannot cover 25 yards of width of the field. Just can't do it. All right, so what do you want him to do? You want to play the pass? Not a bad choice. But when you do that now, just make sure you understand we have an extra blocker for designed quarterback run game for Nico. That's why you saw him rip off a 30-yarder for a touchdown against NC State. So the mobility he has there in the quarterback design run game and the ad-libs and all that stuff, again, we've talked about a lot. But here's one thing that keeps getting overlooked. Remember last year where the offense wasn't exactly humming how you would have expected it to hum? Because you're coming off of 2022 and Joe Milton's doing backflips and throwing the ball 90 yards. Like, you're seeing all the ability there that he has, and then you're like, well, it doesn't look how we want it to look offensively. Is it time for Nico? There were a lot of folks saying that. Hey, is it time to give Aid a shot? What you're seeing right now is the dividends of patience. What you're seeing right now from Nico Iamaleava to this point in the year is the dividends of him getting to redshirt. Okay, if you threw him in last year, if you threw him in the game last year and made him your guy and make him have to carry this Tennessee offense, one, I don't think he had the weapons to allow him to have the success he's having now. That's first off. Second, this is a tough offense to operate. Like, say what you want about what they asked the quarterback to not do compared to like a pro-style offense. Like, that's another discussion. To run this offense at the tempo they want it run, there's no margin for hiccups. There's no margin for your quarterback to be thinking a whole lot and saying, oh, well, what coverage is this? What do I like? What picture? What play? No, like, you got to go, okay? Like, you got to be able to whip this Ferrari. There's no driving 65 in the middle of the highway. And so Nico getting a full year to develop physically, to be able to learn the system, learn the offense, like, that is massive, and you're seeing that right now. You would have not seen Nico Iamaleava have the success he's having now a season ago without the red shirt, without the chance to learn behind a Joe Milton. So let's be clear now. You're seeing the benefit for him of the red shirt, I believe, so far in this point in the season. Now, as much as we talk about the offense, man, I'm glad the defense is getting some shine right now, because I think now for the first time under Josh Heupel, it looks like to me you have a defense that matches what you have on offense. Because the offense was always something you got excited about. You always felt pretty good about with Josh Heupel running the show. Even last year, we talked about Joe Milton and what they didn't do. Like, still scored over 30 points a game. Okay, like, that's going to be good enough in a lot of situations. But to me, it's very clear defensively The personnel is one thing. They're probably like 12 to 13 deep in that front seven on that defensive line. That's massive. But to me, like the clear standard that's been set defensively, that is now, I think, solidified itself across the board for this Tennessee football team. It's very, very evident the way that they play on that side of the ball. Like the standard is we run to the football, we arrive with physicality and violence, we swarm. Like when one person grabs a hold of the ball carrier, we all show up in full force. I say this a lot, but like the temperature of a defense, to me, jumps out very, very quickly. We saw it with USC in that first game against LSU. Wildly different. I think we saw it for LSU, too, in that first game. Even though they got diced up on the back end, like I think we saw some improved temperature from them. But the thing for me with Tennessee, you saw that jump off of the broadcast against NC State. That's not something that's always been there for Tennessee. And that's not me knocking what they have had previously. I think it's more so praise to the way that Josh Heupel has set the standard, the way that his staff set the standard, and the way they've built to this now. Like that front seven, I keep saying it, 13 tackles for a loss, y'all, does not happen on accident. You rep that. You solidify and instill that culture in your defense, and we're seeing it right now. So what that means for Tennessee in terms of the playoff, it means that you don't have to lean on your offense quite as much as you have previously. It means you don't have to score 45, okay, to win a football game. It means you can get in a rock fight with an Alabama, with a Georgia, if it ends up being that way, and feel like, okay, hey, if we punt here, that's okay. It didn't feel that way in 2022. It felt like in 2022, hey, you punt, all right, we got to find a way to probably steal a possession here and find a way to match whatever score we're about to have on us. That's not the case anymore for Tennessee. And so I said it before, like schedule-wise, I think it's 10-2 is what it has to be. You got Georgia, you got Bama. Those are the two where from a roster perspective, I think there's still some talent gap with how they've recruited. Now, to the same exact token, like there was probably a talent gap in 2022. Didn't matter. Why? Because the matchups that Josh Heupel created were the difference. So again, if 10-2 is the price of admission to the college football playoff, which I believe it is for an SEC team, I think they have what it takes. I truly do. But I think it's also worth noting now the way that Tennessee plays on both sides of the football. We talk about leadership and persona and how that impacts a football team. Like the structure Josh Heupel has put in place. Whenever you watch Tennessee play, I don't see a lot of guys checking their feet. I don't see a lot of second-guessing themselves. I see a lot of dudes walk out there, know their assignment. That's the first and most important thing. But also, they seem very comfortable pulling the trigger. Like when it's time to make a play, they're good for it. They're ready to roll. Throw the chips, let them fall where they may, let's go. To me, that is like a non-negotiable when it comes to DNA traits to being a college football playoff team. I know it's week 2. I know it's Chattanooga. I know it's NC State. I know NC State has not looked all that impressive so far this year with the way they messed around with Western Carolina that first game of the season. I get it. We're going to learn a lot more at Oklahoma. I understand that. But I just want to make sure we're on record here. I see all the ingredients from the quarterback to the defense to the mentality to the temperature, all those things now. I see Tennessee. I see a college football playoff team. I feel very finely into that. I think that's the case. Cannot wait to see what they do the rest of the year because I really think now for Nico too, I think his best football is still ahead of him. You would hope so too, only 3 starts into his career. So that's how I feel about that. Hey y'all, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.